Up next is a keynote that is going to take us on a deep dive into charging revenue in public charging. And we're going to have a closer look at the retail ecosystem, the different charging applications for public charging, and also the importance of dynamic charging management. Our speaker is the Chief Markets Officer of Kempower, so let's have a very warm welcome for Jussi van Hanen. Hey Jussi, hello, welcome.
All right, good morning. Can you hear me well? Thanks for inviting me here, and thanks for joining our session. When I was first forming the headline of this session, what I will talk, our sales director Philip in the front row said that, Jussi, that sounds like the tender document, page 29, and nobody will stay when you keep that presentation. But I really thank you all coming and staying listening to me. But Philip, you were wrong in this point, but thanks for fine-tuning the topic. So I want to talk to you about the user experience, and especially on the public charging and revenue, how to make money, but also the total cost of ownership and these topics, and they are very important for the Kempower. They are in a kind of like in the center of our focus, and to highlight a little bit like how we can help you to go for that direction and what's our point. A few words about the Kempower, since we are relatively new company in the market, that it's like the commercial part of the commercial information of the company. I will do this very quickly. But we are a Finnish company, established a few years ago. 2 years ago we listed the company to Nasdaq, and after that most of the information is relatively public. So from our website and investor section you can read quite a lot of details. We are based on the Kempi Group with the 70 years of experience in the power electronics. And if you know Kempi is a welding company doing the welding machines for the industrial use. And that's the heritage where we get the user experience and user friendliness. Welding machine, it's a tool that needs to work. And that has been the beginning part of our R&D journey, and the number one priority, that the product we do, it needs to be easy to use. It's like a tool and kind of like a seamlessly work with the user. And that has been one of our number one priorities there. Few numbers that last year we made a 100 million euro turnover, almost 400 people. This year, our target is to make a 3 times more turnover, 300 million that we have published, and now we have more than 600 people already in a company. So we are relatively fast growing, like all the companies in the industry. So nothing special there, but it has been an exceptionally good journey for us. And my guys, they try to remind me that try to remember to say in your presentation in the beginning that yes, we have an IRET. So we published that news yesterday that finally we get IRET certification. Thank you. Thank you. And since I'm the hardware guy from the power electronics industry, I try to remind myself to talk about the software, especially in this event for you people, that yes, we support the plug and charge, and we are certified for the plug and charge also. The good collaboration with the object. So those, the most important things are now done about the company. ready to go for the German market. So a few years ago, we considered that the Nordics were the kind of like the home market for the Kempower, and then 2 years ago we started the operations in Germany and the Central Europe. Now we have 10 people working in the Philips team over here. The factories are based in Finland, and supply chain is very, say, Nordic, European, which is benefiting the company now in these strange times in the world with the wars and so on. But that has been really supporting our growth also. That building the local supply chain in Europe, and not so much having the supply chain in Asia, and especially China, Russia, where a lot of companies are. This autumn, we will open a factory in the US. That's another story. I will not talk about that to the Europeans too much, but copying that operation model to North Carolina factory. And this autumn we are also expanding the operations in Finland, and that will double the production capacity in Finland. Our vision is to create the most desired EV charging solutions to everyone and everywhere. For everyone means that for the private car charging, for the truck charging, buses, we do some mining charging already, harbor vehicles. That means for everyone and everywhere is kind of globally having a world domination with our chargers kind of. But mainly now focusing on the Europe and USA. All right, that was the commercial part. We quite often talk about the charge point operator business, and it's core of our business also that those are important partners to establish a big charging hubs with the big powers and so on. But what we have seen in Kempower that this retail chains and the retail customers, it's a very important target segment for us, and bringing kind of like, missing one slide there, that the charging, it becomes a kind of like crucial part of our life, that we kind of like, we are charging and planning according our normal behavior. It comes part of our everyday work or that operations, what we do, that we don't go for the charging stations anymore, but we more like to charge during the shopping or go to cinema and that kind of filling the car. And that's kind of, it's a different kind of segment and different kind of user experience there, what we try to build. Yes, we can do the high powers also and have a beautiful charging hubs for the highest powers, and the biggest power we do is a 600 kilowatt charger. But then I will more talk that how to utilize those also now for the smaller powers and spreading that charging fields everywhere in the cities and closer to our lives, normal lives. But the retail ecosystem, it's more that they have restaurants, they have grocery services, but also car services. And that is something that the retail customers, they see that's another way of fulfilling their customer needs. It's a very strong attraction for the customers, but it's also another revenue stream for them. You guys, you know it. You have been doing that for some years already. But there is a special things when working for the retail that they want to build their loyalty services and loyalty programs into the charging experience and having that holistic view for that customer experience. It's very important that how to handle that customer experience from the beginning, from the parking to the for the whole shopping experience, restaurants and the payments. And that we have been looking in the Kempower quite a bit. So 3 main use cases where we look in the public charging, that long-term parking charging, it's typically overnight, and then this destination opportunity charging in the supermarkets, retail chains, grocery for a little bit longer time. And there actually, it's not needed that high power. And what we quite often hear in these conferences and seminars, we are talking about the on-the-move urban nodes, that kind of charging hubs with big powers. And more and more now, we see that we need to get the chargers into the cities and closer to the people also, where the parking garages are. And optimizing the charging service for different locations and different use cases, it gives a much better customer experience and bringing those extra revenue sources also. The business drivers, of course, this we all have been talking this week also, that how to be profitable. And one of the tools for becoming a profitable or be profitable in the charging is a dynamic power sharing. And I will show you a few items there that how our dynamic power sharing is bringing more profits. It's lowering the capex, but also boosting up the revenue. Little bit the product we do, we have that satellite system. You can see the satellite there outside. You can come and see. You have seen that those locations already in Germany too. But that's the satellite is it's a user interface and a cable, and then the power electronics is disconnected from the user interface. And then the whole grocery store or street parking on that design, that becomes more flexible, and you have a beautiful sites and bringing the power electronics a little bit further away from the cars. And this is something that our customers and CPOs, they love it, that it gives much more freedom for the design. The dynamic power sharing is dividing the power to the cars and according their requirement, according their charging curve need, that what the car is requiring. And it's dynamically going up and down according different charging situations where the cars are coming. And this is see if the animation works. This is the real case from northern Finland with the new charging hubs. How the dynamic power is working. That you can see that how the different charging curves, they are layering down top of each other. And the cars are going and coming, and charger is allocating the power modules for each satellite. And this actually, in many use cases, that here we can see that you don't need that much peak power on the site. When different curves are on the different stages when the car is coming. And typically we have analyzed that with this dynamic power management, that the total power we install, that it can be roughly 30% less than a typical charging station. Still having the same user experience and not limiting the charging power for the car. So the drivers, they don't see that they get the full power what the car requires, but the investment is much more efficient. If I accelerate a little bit. The second benefit of the Kempower solution is the full redundancy. So 600 kilowatt power unit is based on the 12 different power modules. This gives a full redundancy, and according our charge side analysis we have done, that our availability of the charging station is better than 99%. It's a very big number, and actually many sites that we have analyzed that our charging availability is 100%. So average downtime of our system is less than 4 minutes per year. It's a remarkable result when you read the stories in the Facebook about the EV drivers' anxiety, that how that is getting easier, that you can actually trust that the charging works. Second key measure is a success rate, what we measure. That success rate, we mean that when you plug the car to the charger, that what's the probability that the charging start to work. That all that the payments, the handshaking with the car and everything start to work. And at the moment we are 95% level. That 95% success rate and a probability that when you plug the car that you start charging. Most of the problems what we have seen there is happening on the in a communication and connecting and locking the cable, so that connector part there. And the second biggest problem what we have realized is taking the charging success rate down is that how the payments go through. So there's a lot of also a user experience, that how the user can influence on the success rate. And then in our screen we try to advise that how to use the device better to have a better success rate. We were from the beginning we were building the hardware top of our software, and this was because the Kempower was established during the Corona times. That all the chargers, they are from the beginning they are connected to the charging management system in the cloud, and we have real-time access for every single parameter, every single temperature, and we can follow the charging experience there. Commissioning can be done online remotely, and this gives huge benefits for your operations, that how to operate and maintain the charging stations. Then this was when I was the beginning of my EV driver journey. I was in one charging station that was not manufactured by us, and then I had some problem and I needed to call the support line of that system. And then the first question from the online service was that, can you send me the picture of the screen, that what does it say in the screen? And what do you mean? Like, do you have a mobile phone that send me the picture that then I can read the fault code and I can support you better? I did it, but I couldn't understand the question, since the screen what the Kempower has, it's actually a website that we are launching from the charge side, and that operator who is answering the phone can read the screen online from the charge side already. So that's the natural way of giving the support and connecting the users with the operators and support line. And all those charging sessions and details are recorded, and we can go back there every time and see what has been happening. That if we need to do the analysis, that's possible because of our backend system. One of the most lovable features of our product has been the QR code. That you have seen in our charger that the QR code, and you can actually take the screen with you. And this is also some feature that my wife loves, that when we go shopping, that I'm quite quick in my moves, but suddenly my wife realized that you are not so in a hurry anymore when we are doing the shopping. I said, yes, darling, we still have 5 minutes and then we are in 80% and we are good to go, so take it easy. So that's where it's another way to kind of like help the EV drivers to relax and ease their anxiety for different things. And then this is actually for the retail customers that we have realized, and this is something you can measure, that when you take the screen with you, when you do the shopping, you spend more time in that shopping mall. You shop more, you spend more money. So it's an additional a revenue stream again for the grocery stores. We give the estimates for that charging, and that's the real case estimate that they're much more accurate in our estimate models than the car manufacturers themselves, that they want to hide the information a little bit. And we can estimate with the 1 minute accuracy that when the charging is ready. That this is something unique. With the Philip, we have been talking also this German saying that nothing beats the horsepower than the horsepower. Kind of like this German Autobahn diesel driver with the 3.6 liter turbo diesel car. That bigger is better. But it's not always in the charging so that the faster is better. That sometimes actually kind of like slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So one way to do it to start prioritizing the charging so that you can actually lower and control your charging for the lower speed. And then another way you can have a boost mode. Or actually the best way is that you estimate that how long you're going to stay at the charging station. And that is something unique that we have been talking, that is this possible. And I have been talking this week already, this feature, with some of you. And you have said that that you have been thinking that for 5 years already, but you haven't got the hardware to support this feature. And now when we are in the DC charging era and not in the AC, that it's possible together with our dynamic charging power. I think I'm a little bit over my time already, and thanks for your attention. We have a time for the quick questions from somewhere. Keeping in mind, be kind to me, that remember that I'm a hardware guy from the wind power industry, has been 2 years in the EV industry, but I'm learning. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Jussi, thank you very much indeed, and I'm sure there will be questions for you. So, same procedure as always. You can raise your hand, and we will take a few questions also that are being sent via the app. So we have one, and then we'll take one from the app, and then we'll have the third one from here. Okay.
Hi, Jussi, how are you doing? Luis Orche from Huawei. I really like your distributed power idea. And since you are a hardware guy, I would like to ask you something hardware related, so to be kind to you. What do you think about liquid-cooled power electronics?
Liquid-cooled for the electronics?
Yeah, of course, the heating of the electronics.
This was very kind question, because this is exactly my speciality. I own you the beer there. Already this morning, in the breakfast, we talk about the liquid cool in a hotel. And liquid is something that you transfer the heat from this place to another one. So you need to do the cooling anyway. There's a few benefits of the liquid cool, that then you can have a stronger enclosure. And that's what we did in the wind power. The power electronics, they were up in a nozzle and in a nasty environment. So that way it's good. It's bringing a little bit more maintenance need, but it's increasing the reliability of the electronics because you have more stable temperature there. So it's kind of like pros and cons. Our approach in Kempower is coming from the welding industry, that we have a relatively open structure, but all the electronic boards, they are really strongly sealed like they do in the welding industry. So that's our approach. Another benefit is a noise, that liquid-cooled is a little bit more silent. Since the heat exchangers, they are a little bit more silent. You need fans anyway, and that's one topic in the public charging, that the charging stations are a little bit noisy. But our approach at the moment is that separating the charger from the satellites, and then you can take the power electronics behind the corner, that they don't harm so much. But all in all, I love it, but there is some challenges, but it's a good.
So it's something that you are maybe working on for your product portfolio in the future?
It might be that we are working on it, yes.
Right. Okay.
Especially now, like we have liquid-cooled cables and MCS, megawatt charging. It's a topic that we are facing, especially for the cables. But yes.
Yeah, and I guess also for the real estate that you need when you have power electronics by liquid cooling is also decreased.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Same thing in the Kempi, we had liquid-cooled cables for welding already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's take the next question from the app, and if we can keep the answer brief, because we're already over time and we need to be fair to the panel that's coming afterwards. So here's our question. Great, you see great, innovative, and realizable chargers. Do you have actual numbers on how many people are really using the quote-unquote take your screen with you feature?
Of course I have that number, but it's there's no harm. It's roughly 30% of our customers. They beam the QR code. It's a relatively high number, and you don't necessarily do that with the first visit there in the charging site, but you start learning to use it, and you get rid of that anxiety. And this is something that the Tesla Björn has been helping us to develop a little bit the experience there.
Okay, so let's take the final question that was right over here.
Thank you. Also, with regards to the screen, you said you have a very accurate estimate of when the car is going to be full. First question is, like, where do you get the state of charge from? Because you also mentioned that the OEMs don't provide this kind of information, and our experience is exactly the same. And secondly, how can you be so precise in the information if you don't know what kind of car that is and what charging curve it has?
Say the first question first.
Where do you get the stage of charge from initially?
Yeah, we get that, and then we have...
Where did you get it from, unless the car manufacturer provides it to you, which they usually don't?
I don't know, like precisely, that's not my specialty. But we have a very, let's say, high percentage, like how we recognize the car. And how I think the car is telling that it's the MAC code for us. And then we recognize it there. And then we also, from the charge side, we see that, okay, this car, we didn't recognize that, we don't understand. And then we actually, we start the hunting, that we start that looking that where is that, we put the camera to the charging station, or we try to get the information that what car that is. And once we get that, okay, that charging curve was from that car type, then forever after we will recognize it. The best way how we start recognizing the cars, that we are participating on the public testing sessions, and then we can send the movable charger to different sites to recognize the car. But after the first charging, that we can specify that charging was done by that car type, then it's locked up.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Jussi from Kempower, thank you very much indeed. And if you did not get a chance to ask your question, just look for him during the break. Thank you so much.
I'm still here 2 days, so thank you so much.